Hello, this is Jamie with That's Incredible, and today I am going to be going over my February 2021 Hostess class. Now remember, with this class, all orders are due by February 7th, and I'll put the Hostess code in the comments. My hope is to get this video edited and up by tomorrow on February 6th. I think tomorrow's February 6th. So I've got a few minutes here. Of course, I planned an in-person class so people can come and actually see me in person. And then it has begun to snow. We haven't seen snow since October. So I think my planning had something to do with the snow. It's okay. It is much needed moisture here in Montana. So let me show you what we are going to make today. Our first card is going to look like this. How cute are that? And then I'll also go over the colors. And remember, you can color your snails any color you would like. Okay? They do not have to be the same colors as mine. I just picked colors that complement the background. In fact, when I color my snails today, there's no guarantee that I'll even grab the same colors, but I'm going to try my best, okay? The second card we're doing today is this card here, and snails completely different. I just colored them according to the colors I was using on my card. And then finally, the last project that we are going to work on today is this cute little box. Okay? Super stinking cute. And it has like just a little bit of room in there. You can fit some candy, a little bit of coloring. If you have purchased this set with the dies, then of course you could cut everything out with the dies. If you have not purchased this set with the dies, unfortunately, you will have to fussy cut. I just did not have time to do that. So those are our three projects that we are going to work on today. And we will be creating all of these projects with the new Snailed It. Now, I did not use the heart today or this, but I have some other samples that I did use this with. So, and inside here, I also have all of the dies and my paper pumpkin. So this is the paper pumpkin for January, and it has this cute little snail, and it kind of just goes with the snail theme. So I thought I would just store it all together. So there's that. So hey, let's go ahead and let's get started. Remember, this month is Celebration. And for every $50 you spend, you do get a free item from the Celebration catalog. If you spend $100, there are a couple options for you to pick from the $100 options as well. So in your kit, you will find a packet that looks like this. All right, so we have it open. I have everything stamped. I have everything I need. Now this background, this Daffodil Delight, was embossed with this textile texture 3D embossing folder. So that's where it gets its pattern or roughness from. So let's go ahead and we will get started, and we will put our first card together. I like to get everything put together first, and then I will go back and color what needs to get colored. Okay, that way I get all these pieces off of my desk. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to be using my art glitter glue. And I'm going to start with my Daffodil Delight. And I like to open my card base so it lays a little bit flatter. And then I'm going to take my Daffodil Delight and I'm going to put glue generously on the back. Just like so. And center that on that front panel. And that liquid adhesive just does give you a second of wiggle room that you might not otherwise get from like a double-sided tape. So there's that. Then I'm going to take my mushroom piece. Now the mushroom piece also has these on the back, and you certainly are welcome to use either pattern, but I really liked the mushroom pattern. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to glue that centered on that white piece. And then I'm going to go ahead and put glue on the back of this and center it on the Daffodil Delight that's already on my card base. Just like so. Okay, now I have a red piece here and you have a red piece. I just thought it would be easier if you cut your own red piece. So I'm going to cut just a sliver. I'm not even really going to measure it. I'm just going to cut with my, or I guess this is a Creative Memories trimmer that's like 20 years old. 2 little pieces off of here. So that, and just make sure they're straight. And then I will go ahead and cut and glue those right on next to my cute little squiggly pattern paper. So let's go ahead and glue this down. Like that. There we go. And then I'm going to take, and I'm just going to put a bead of glue along the bottom and a bead of glue along the top. And then I'm going to just take my real red cardstock strips, and I'm just going to bump it up real close next to the DSP, and I'm going to do that on the top and the bottom. Okay, there we go. And it's that easy. Go ahead and take some foam tape here. And I'm going to glue on my postage stamp piece. And I'm going to pop it up. There we are. And I'm going to pop it up right about there. Okay, so now I have used all of my pieces and I just need to color my snails. So let's go ahead and I will grab some markers and I will let you know what colors I'm using. And we'll see how close I get to the original. All right, so I feel like the dogs need to bark. Maybe I used YR21 and YR20 for the bodies of my snails. So I'm going to start with the YR21 and I'm going to color the darker areas. Just like that. And I'm going to color that. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do the smaller snail as well. And again, this is YR21. Now I'm going to go ahead and take YR20 and kind of blend that in just like this. And I'm going to just take that Copic marker and drag it over so it kind of pulls and blends that darker color into the lighter color. There we are. So I don't know if you can tell, but I kind of went out of the lines right here on this eye. And I'm going to take my Jelly Roll 0.08 and I'm just going to color right up over it, and that covers it up nicely. All right, so that's those two snails. Now I'm going to color the shell and this present. And I feel like maybe this BG01 was the color I used. I tried to make these simple. Now remember, when you're coloring, if you want to add darker areas and you only have one shade, just add more layers of the marker to it. Okay. This is a bit darker than my original, but that's okay. I still like it. And then I'm going to go ahead and color this present so that they coordinate nicely. And now I'm going to reach for my pink. And I want to say that I have used RV10 and RV13 to color this other snail. So I'm going to just take the RV10 and I'm just going to color the whole shell here. Make sure I'm careful and stay in the lines the best I can. And then I'll get this present up here. Just like that. Now I'm going to take the RV13 and I'm just going to take and color my stripes. Just like that. And then I'm also going to color this heart. However, you're not going to see it when I put the embellishment on it, so that's okay too. All right, let me go ahead and grab my dies and get those lined up. And again, if you have the dies, great. If you don't, that's okay too. You can fussy cut. Now, when I line up the dies, the thing about Stampin' Up dies is they are very close to the edges. So you want to line them up. Use a little tacky tape here. I have a little piece of purple tape. And I'm just going to tape that down right there. Then I'm going to take my little speech bubble die, if I can get it out of here. And I'm going to rotate that. And I have the blade side down. And you can see that the black line literally lines up with the inner edge of the die. And then for the last one, I'm going to use the last snail die, and it cuts off this "You've Got Mail." So, you know, it's even though it stamps with it, when you use the dies, it does cut it off. Okay, so now I'm going to take this back to my die cut machine and get those three dies all cut out. All right, now I'm back. Just pop those three out, and then I'm just gonna put my dies right back in the case where they go. And I'll set that aside because I will be needing these dies again here in a moment. Now I'm gonna take some dimensionals, and I'm going to go ahead and add my snails and my little bebop sentiment. So if you don't like hello, you could certainly do whatever sentiment you wanted. There we are. And I'm going to put him over here, kind of off the edge. And then I'm going to put this snail. It's going to be off the edge as well, but I'm going to double up the one that's on the the shell, because I want it off of the thing, but I want it to still be popped up. And that's kind of lopsided. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to peel that up, and I'm going to stick that, too far out. I'll go ahead and peel that. There we go. Now I just have this hello, and I'm going to go ahead and put 2 of them out on top right here. Now I'm going to set my hello just like that. And then I have a little bit of room there underneath, so I'm going to take another dimensional, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to just squeeze it under there, so hopefully it doesn't, it shows a little bit. Squeeze it farther, there we go. And that's it, that's my first card. So here's the original. This one opens this way, and this one opens top to bottom, but that's okay. So that's pretty close in colors, and I need to grab one of our resin hearts, and I have those right here. And I have a bunch cut, so I'm going to try and get those ones used. So, all right, so I'm going to take that one. I'll need in a minute. I'm going to take this one here, and I'm going to go ahead and peel that off the backing. And I'm going to just put this heart right on the envelope. There we go. Easy peasy. And that is our first card. Let's go ahead and grab the stuff for our second card. So here is our second card, and I think I have a couple kits here, a couple sets in this, so I'll have to separate them out. I have one card base, so there's that, and one piece of Bermuda Bay, real red, the Snailed It patterned paper, the Snailed It DSP that looks like that, the You Snailed It sentiment, this snail, and I am looking for, I might have to actually stamp that, the little hello in the speech bubble. So I can restamp that, that's okay. All right, so let's go ahead and, like I said, I like to get all my pieces glued down, then I don't have to worry about where they are. So I'm going to take my Bermuda Bay, and I'm going to just glue it down on the front of my card. Centered. Then I will take my real red strip and we'll glue that down over towards the right hand side, just somewhere. It doesn't have to be centered. These are just some random layers of paper. And then I have my DSP, and I have the yellow side up, or Daffodil Delight side. And I'm going to go ahead and stick that on there. And all of this is going down flat. There's no pop-ups or anything. Make sure my hearts are going the right way. I'm going to just tilt that postage stamp die. And my last piece that I'm going to glue on right now is the Snailed It. And I'm just going to line that up, pop it down. Since my little heart, resin heart, is sitting here, I'm going to go ahead and get that on there. You Snailed It. So these don't have to be for Valentine's Day, but they are certainly a cute option. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to grab a couple markers and I'm going to color. And I'm going to color my snail shell, Y17 and Y15. And I'm going to use my darkest first. which is the Y17. And I'm just going to put in a little around where I feel like it would be darker. Doesn't have to look great. I'm going to go ahead and put a little on that top package. And now I'm going to come in and I'm going to finish it with the Y15 and really blend those colors. Okay. It's really unfortunate that it is snowing as much as it is. I was so looking forward to having in-person classes again and seeing everybody. But Mother Nature just, and I really just don't want to make anybody drive on the crappy roads. So there's that. I'm going to go ahead and put those two away. Then looks like I may have colored this body with a BG13. And then I think, if I remember correctly, I added a C2 for the shading. So let's go ahead and we'll go ahead and color that snail body. There we are. Give it a nice even layer. Then I'm going to take and add a couple more layers of the BG13 to where it would be darker. And then over the top of that, I'm just going to swipe in some gray, some C2, and that just kind of gives it a little more of a darker dimension. And then I'll just go right back over it and blend it all in. There we are. And then as that dries, it will lighten and it'll look like super nice. So let's go ahead and put those ones away. And then the last color I believe I used was an R37, and that's the red. And I just took and lightly traced in those stripes. And I got the idea to color this snail these colors just from the paper. You know, I wanted my snail to match the paper that I was using. All right, so that's it. That's the whole snail. Now I'm going to go ahead and again grab that snail die, which is this guy here. And I also, I'm just going to set this aside for just a second. I need to find a piece of the Daffodil Delight because I need to cut one of these hellos. Since it seems I was short in my materials. So here's a piece of Daffodil Delight. And I'm going to go ahead and grab a block and stamp. And I'll stamp a couple of them and then I'll pick which one is the best to put on my card. So with my Tuxedo Black Memento ink, one, and that catches an edge, but because we're cutting it out with a die cut, I'm not going to worry too much about it. All right, so there we go. And then I'm going to go ahead and set that aside and grab the hello stamp. Put that on this little block here. And I'm going to go kind of point that to the side. Hopefully I don't catch an edge. There we are. I did on the inside of that one. I don't know if you can tell, but I won't be using that one, obviously. And find my speech bubble die. And I think I will cut out just the first one on this page. So I'm going to line that up just like so. And now I'm ready to go to my die cut machine that's off screen and die cut both of these. My snail wasn't very straight, so I need to redo it. All right, there we are. All right, so take that piece off. There's my little sentiment. And here's my little snail. Go ahead and bring that back over here. And I'm gonna just go ahead and pop these up. I have 4 dimensionals for the back of my snail, so that he has plenty of stickiness to make sure he pops up nicely. And we'll just put him right there. And then I will also take just 1 dimensional and put it back on the back of my little hello speech bubble and stick it there. And there we go. That is the second card. Here's the original and the second. Looks good. Okay, now for the final and third project, I have this adorable little box. Now, in your kit, I, number one, did not have the directions with me when I was cutting. So I knew that a half of a sheet of white cardstock would be plenty. So I gave you a half of a sheet, but we're going to have to cut it down and we're going to have to score it. Okay, so this piece is cut currently at 5.5 by 8.5, and we need to cut it down to 5 inches by 8.5 inches. So we just need to cut it down a half an inch on one side, and then we're golden. I'm going to put that at the 5-inch mark and cut. So there we go. Go ahead and throw that away. Now I'm going to do some scoring. So on the short side, I am going to score at 1 inch. So on my score with my paper trimmer here, I'm going to use the light blade, the scoring blade, and I'm going to score across this side 1 inch. Now I'm going to rotate and I'm going to score it at 3 inches. Okay. 3.5 inches. 4 inches. 7 inches. 7.5 inches and 8 inches. And that's all the scoring that we need to do for this one. I got some dimensional stuck to the back of my trimmer. Now all over my fingers. Ah, okay. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to burnish all of the edges here with a bone folder that I don't have right now. And so this one is going to be a mountain, a valley, and a mountain. And then we have a mountain, a valley, and a mountain. Okay, so it kind of is like that when you score it. Okay. I'm going to flatten it back out, and I'm going to do a little bit of cutting. So with my skinny side on the right, I'm going to cut out this corner. So that is with my skinny side on the right. I'm just going to cut out that corner, and I'm going to angle cut that and angle cut the top, just like that. Now I'm going to cut, I'm not going to cut on this line, but I'm going to cut on this next line here. And then I'm going to go to the next first score line, skip a score line, and cut. So we have, so if I fold those up, we have 2 little flaps and 2 longer flaps. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take, and I'm just going to fold this over just like this, and you'll see why. Add a little adhesive to this flap, and this is the back of my card. And I'm just going to lay that just like that. And that should line up perfectly, okay? And that forms the back of my card. Then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to push those in. This is the front of my card. So I want the back flap and then the front flap to go over so that my back seam and my back seam are on the back of it. Go ahead and add some glue, and we're done. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stick just the end of this blending brush in here and glue it down. Okay, and those dimensions are up on the screen for you, so hopefully you can tell. So I need this piece and this DSP that looks like that. And I need a piece, a postage stamp die cut. Oh, I already have that. Then I have my 2 pieces of ribbon here. And I have this strip and my mushroom. I only need 1 of those. And I think that's everything I need out of that bag. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to just set that bag over there. All right. I'm going to set my mushroom to the side. I'm going to take my Bermuda Bay DSP and glue it right on the front center of this box. Now again, this is the benefit of using liquid glue. You have a second to kind of shift it. Then I'm going to take this strip. Now on my original, I did a little bit of tone on tone stamping. I don't know if you can see that. If you would like to add that, I totally spaced doing that part for you. So if you would like to add that before you put this on, that's fine. But we need to score this piece. So this piece is 1.5 inches. And I need to score it at 4 3/4, or just a hair before 4 3/4 on both ends. Okay, so here I have 4 3/4. Let me double check that real quick. Just a hair less than 4 3/4. So I'm going to go just a sliver, take my scoring tool, and then I'm going to flip it. I'm going to go to 4 3/4, go just a hair like less than 1/8 of an inch, and then I'm going to score it. Okay, now when I made these, this is a 1.5 inches by 10.5 inches. And then I used one of my tag topper punches and just stuck it in there and punch. And we were good to go. All right, so then we have this piece that's going to go right over there. And so see how we have those valley folds? Okay. I'm going to go ahead and tie my ribbon. So I'm going to take my polka dotted tool. That does not line up very well. Did I do that right? Surely I did that right. Well, we're going to make it work. Okay. There's that. And then we'll slide this through there. It will be fine. And I'm going to go ahead and just leave those two hang like that. I'm going to take my white twine and I'm going to wrap this around and tie it in a knot. And then I'll go ahead and trim that tulle off so it's not so long. There we are. And if you want, if you have enough, you can certainly make a bow. I don't feel like I have enough, so I'm just going to cut that off and call it good. All right. So now I'm going to finish this up. I'm going to take a couple dimensionals in the center of this postage stamp die, and I'm going to just put it right there. Make sure it's straight. Just like so. There we are. And so that has a little bit of give in it, but that's so you have plenty of room. And then I'm going to take this little hello, and this is like kind of like an envelope looking die in the set, which is why this was die cut for you, because there was no place for you to cut it out. And I'm going to just stick that there. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to grab my mushroom and I'm going to get that color fussy cut out, and we will be set. So I'm going to use BG93 for the lighter portion of my leaves. So I'm going to add that just quickly. It doesn't have to be perfect. And then I'm also going to flick some up into the bottom of these mushrooms so it looks like grass. And then for my darker green, or the centers, I'm going to use BG96. And I'm just going to add just a little flick from the bottom of the leaves up towards the top, centered, just to give it a little bit of dimension. And that's it. And then I'll go ahead and we can add a couple flicks of the BG96 as well. Okay, so next, remember that R35 that we had out earlier? You know, I think I'm going to go with R27. This is a Camden red. And so because I flicked the grass up there, let me go ahead and zoom in for this part. There you are. I'm going to flick the red back down into the grass. Okay. So kind of blends in there. And now I'm going to go ahead and just color the mushroom. And go around. Now on my project, I actually went through and I put some liquid shimmer crystal effects on a bunch of stuff. And I'll do that at the end so that it'll all have time to dry overnight. Okay. There's our red mushroom. I just really love red mushrooms. And you know, it probably brings me back to the days of Mario. Then I'm going to have a light yellow mushroom, and I'm using Y02, which is canary yellow. I'm going to flick that yellow down. Go ahead and color that. And then I'm going to use a BOO for my third mushroom. Now, if you want one of these stripes a little darker, just go over it with a couple more layers. There we are. And it's just a hair darker. All right. And finally, I'm going to grab my mushroom die, which looks like a turkey. Doesn't look like a turkey. Looks like a turkey. Okay, go ahead and line that up. And I'm going to run that through the die cut machine. All right, so there's my little mushroom. And put my die cut back in the case. I'm going to zoom back out for you here. Oh, wrong way. Bring my box in. There's my finished box. Here is the one I'm currently doing. And we're going to take a couple dimensionals on the back of this mushroom. And I'm going to go ahead and pop it up right there. And there we go. There is the original and there is the second. Now I'm going to bring back my other two cards. And I'm going to take some of my shimmery crystal effects. And I really like the way that it looks on my snail's eyes. And I don't know if you can see it on the little white dots of my mushroom here. So I'm going to go ahead and add that, and then I'll be done, and these cards can just sit here and dry. So here are my 3 cards that I just did. I'm going to go ahead, and this is my shimmer crystal effects. A little dot on the eye. There we are. Kind of gives it a little bit of a 3D look. A little there, and a little dot there. All right, and that is it. We are done and done and done. So all 3 cards have crystal effects, so I'll leave them here to dry overnight because I'm done for the night. Otherwise, they really don't take that long to dry. And you have a wonderful evening because that's incredible.